Sutra 3. Amrit Swarupa Cha. Devotion for the Lord is also like immortal nectar. The second aphorism describes the nature of devotion, and in the third aphorism, Narad expands on the definition. He describes the real form of devotion, which is ambrosial by nature. The Narad Bhakti Sutra states the same. Pure devotion to the Lord makes one immortal, beatific, and blissful. There are 3 types of nectar in this world. 1. The churning of the ocean by the gods and demons yielded ambrosia, or amrit. According to the scriptures, there are 3.3 billion gods and goddesses who maintain nature and all the universes, and are controlled by Lord Krishna. This nectar is for the gods. It removes all kinds of disease, but it does not save one from the path of action attached to good acts. According to their good deeds, people go to heaven and drink this nectar, and reside there until the fruits of their good actions are exhausted. Once the rewards have reduced to a certain degree, the souls come back to earth. Devotion is not like this kind of nectar. 2. Another kind of nectar comes from the moon. It comes to earth by moonlight, and herbs, plants, and trees absorb this. It can be received by them. The moonlight causes wheat and grain to mature, gives strength to the body, and removes hunger. But this nectar cannot stop disease and death. Devotion is also not this kind of nectar. 3. There is nectar which is connected to the Lord, explains Sage Narad. Only the Lord receives this nectar. Earthly love is limited by time, place, and circumstance, and the objects of this worldly affection, which are all impermanent. This kind of love has a beginning and an end. For this reason, ordinary love is not eternal. On the other hand, once sacred love begins, it is everlasting, because it has no dependency on anything temporary. It starts from within us, and the object of love is within us too. Man constantly seeks his share of peace and happiness in this world, and since he does not know the real source of these, he searches for them in the midst of sense objects. But when he begins to understand and devote himself to the Lord, he starts to relish the nectar, which gives him supreme bliss and peace. There are 3 differences between earthly love and sacred love. First of all, earthly love is temporary. Second, its intensity may go so far, but it will not reach the supreme state. And third, it is directed towards impermanent objects. Such qualities are not there in sacred love. To give a clear idea of what is meant by devotion, the Srimad Bhagavatam states, "The mind that constantly meditates on the objects of the senses unavoidably takes pleasure in their temporary joys. But the mind that constantly remembers me merges into me." A devotee never craves for liberation. He always yearns to enjoy the love of the Lord and to serve him solely for his pleasure. Once, Lord Krishna was in a pasture land, herding cows. All of a sudden, in separation, he started to cry, "Radha, Radha!" Radha expanded from Krishna so that he could experience and enjoy his own love through her love for him. She is his soul and his internal potency. This mood of longing expressed itself in a melody, Madhur Sangeet, which hypnotized the whole world. When Saraswati, the goddess of knowledge, heard the divine rhythm, she was attracted towards its origin. Saraswati came to the pasture land and witnessed the most handsome personality, Lord Krishna. She was mesmerized by him and asked him to accept her as his maidservant. Lord Krishna rejected Saraswati's plea. In despair, she became numb and transformed herself into a stalk of bamboo. Lord Krishna accepted the bamboo and made it his flute. Now Lord Krishna plays this very flute and enjoys the love of his devotee Saraswati. In return, she relishes Krishna's love because she serves him for the sake of his pleasure. There are two things that are compulsory in devotion: rag, attachment, and bhog, offering. Attachment means glorifying the Lord's name, his pastimes, his fame, his beauty, and so forth. Bhog means an offering made to the Lord during his worship for the sole purpose of his happiness. And this can be in the form of offering food and clothes to the Lord, and so forth. Devotion means serving with love, not love alone. It can be understood in simple terms. For example, a husband returns home after work. He asks his wife, "Could you please give me a glass of water?" "Sweetheart, you know I love you, but I will not fetch you a glass of water," she replies. Again the husband asks, and the wife replies, "Darling, I love you, but I will not fetch you a glass of water." He may get irritated because he knows that love does not only mean saying, "I love you," it also means serving the object of love. The Srimad Bhagavatam 10.47.24 highlights the same point. Charity, vows, fire offerings, repetitions of mantras, scriptural study, and other ritual acts should be done with the sole aim of attaining devotion for Lord Krishna. A mantra is a string of Sanskrit syllables or words used in prayer which contains the full power of the divine person or persons whose name it contains. The following aphorism reveals how aspirants can understand real devotion.